Dear County Committee Member-Elect, the Alameda County Democratic Central Committee will meet on Wednesday, January 6, 2021, for its first meeting of the new term. And at this meeting, the committee will fill any vacancies in its membership, ratify alternate, elect new officers, and select members to represent the county committee and the Democratic State Central Committee. Under our bylaws, elected county committee members and their alternates, as well as associate members, are eligible to serve on the DSCC. DSCC members attend a state convention one weekend each year. The next one will be held via Zoom, April 30th to May 2nd. There can be significant expenses in attending these meetings when held in person, including airfare, hotels, meals, dues, and registration fees. Please let us know if you're interested in accepting a DSCC appointment and provide information on your alternate, including name, address, phone numbers, email address, and whether your alternate is interested in a DSCC appointment by filling out this Google form or replying to alamedacodem@gmail.com. Our current Assembly District Vice Chairs will follow up if we don't hear from you soon. Sincerely, Robin Torello, Chair. Hi, my name is Victoria Fierce, and I'm a member of the Alameda County Democratic Central Committee. This letter was sent to all the newly elected members of the Alameda County Democratic Central Committee late last year. This is the first episode of my new YouTube channel. I've never really been a YouTuber. I've never really done a lot of streaming. That's a thing I've been getting into a lot this year, as a lot of people have, given that we're all stuck inside due to the pandemic and sheltering in place and whatnot. So it made sense for me to try and do something like this. If you've ever wondered who runs the Democratic Party, well, the answer is me, along with hundreds of others across the country. Membership in these committees is elected based on assembly districts. I live in Assembly District 18. We're elected every 2 years or so. I ran for this in very early 2020. The election for this runs in the primary. I didn't actually take my seat until this year. Part of what I ran on was kind of a platform of transparency and opening up the party and making it more accessible to people who, for whatever reason, look at the Democratic Party and just see this inscrutable thing that doesn't represent them. It doesn't represent their values. It's very money oriented. It's very heavy on the corporatism. And it's not something that people get excited about. Who gets excited about fundraising? Obviously me, because I do fundraising for my actual job. But most people are not me. Most people are normal, well-adjusted human beings. And so fundraising is not something they get excited about. I wasn't even a Democrat until about 2018. For most of my life, I've been registered as a member of the Pirate Party. There was a lot of people running, and these are the ballot results. The top 11 vote getters got elected to the Central Committee. And this was the first election I ever ran in my life, and I came in 5th place with 26,388 votes. And that's a lot. There's a total of 47 seats on the Central Committee for Alameda County. It includes ex officios, which are people who have a seat on the committee simply by virtue of being a registered and elected Democrat who's a public official. For example, Rob Bonta has a seat simply because he's the Democratic Assembly member. You can see here on the side too, this is the Alameda County election results website. And there's elections for every other Assembly district. Got, Assembly District 15. A lot fewer people ran because it's a smaller district. Assembly District 16, there's also even fewer people. 20th, 25th, 16th. Yeah, every party in the state of California has a central committee like this. Republicans have their own central committee, the Green Party, and there's one for the Peace and Freedom Party. And I'm sure there's other parties, but they're not listed on the ballots because I guess they don't have a central committee in Alameda County. I'm in Assembly District 18, so I ran in a very crowded field for the first time, which is maybe a little misleading because I've been involved in local politics. I'm one of those 6 people who shows up to every city council meeting. This race was really big because almost none of these people were ever on the Central Committee. So what's super interesting about the letter is that this person down at the very end, Robin Torello, the chair at the time, Robin Torello has been the chair of the Alameda County Central Committee since about 2001 or something, I think, last I checked. It's very hard to learn the history of the Democratic Party and the structure and how it goes. And that's, some part of it is on purpose. And again, that's why I ran, to change these things, because you can't change these things if you're not there at the table. A lot of the people who've run the Democratic Party in Alameda County for the last, decades wiped off the ballot, wiped off their seats. It's a big change. It's a big seismic shift happening now. And it's really exciting to basically start with nothing, having never been a Democrat, never involved in any of this for all my life. And then suddenly I am like the 5th most popular person to run the Democratic Party in my assembly district. In my mind, people will vote for elected officials or candidates if they have a reason to be excited about them. This is why Bernie Sanders is so wildly popular, why Liz Warren is so popular, AOC is so popular, because they give people hope and they give people something to get excited about. And the way that you end up getting, big support to run for office is usually through the Democratic Party. If you're not endorsed by the Alameda County Democratic Party, you're not really likely to win, and it's just an uphill battle. It shouldn't be how it works, but it is how it works. And, changing that means running for local central committee. The funny thing about the Alameda County Central Committee is that it took a pandemic for meetings to be broadcast live anywhere. For the last decade, you've had to go down to the San Leandro Public Library. For whatever reason, they have been very averse to streaming in these things online. I don't understand. I come from a different universe. I come from the internet. So putting things online, streaming a live feed is like pretty normal to me. But for whatever reason, they've never really done it. So like I said, it's taken a pandemic to make this happen. But even then, they're only streaming the event out to their Facebook page. I've never had a Facebook in my entire life. That's strange to a lot of people, but that's just normal. And there's a lot of other people who also don't have Facebook, and so they can't watch the stream while it's happening. So I was going to try and do a public service this month for this month's meeting of just streaming the meeting. And I was going to have a small stream before the meeting, a quick hour, and talk about what I'm doing right now. But then something happened. All of this happened on January 6th. There was a big coup in DC, and, it was very hard to focus. And my home internet was just not able to upload stuff. So I couldn't stream out at all. It's a bit of a bummer. But they still put the video up on Facebook, and I have it downloaded, and I'm going to put it on my channel in another playlist somewhere so that you can find it, because it's impossible to find otherwise. And the handy thing about the committee is that it meets once a month. So February 3rd is going to be the next meeting, and that time I'll have a better stream. I'll have it hopefully working. If not, I'll be able to record it, and I'll still put it up faster. So now I want to talk about what was happening that day. So we had an agenda. January 6, 2021, 7 p.m. at Zoom. Start off, roll call, appointment to fill vacancies, ratification of alternate appointments, then the elections of the officers, and then we're supposed to select our state central committee representatives, talk about new business, any announcements, and then we adjourn. We got through about half of this before I ended up making the motion to adjourn, because it was about 1 a.m. and we were all really tired and exhausted, and it was just kind of a shit show of a meeting towards the end. Let's walk through this agenda. The first part, the roll call. The secretary goes through the list of people who are supposed to be there. You say you're here or not, whatever. That was pretty straightforward. And after that is appointment to fill vacancies. If there's a vacancy on the central committee, then they appoint somebody to fill that seat. It's the first meeting, nobody had any absences, nobody expected any, so nothing happened. And the third item, ratification of alternate appointments. Every member of the central committee gets an alternate. If I get hit by a bus or I can't make it for whatever reason, somebody else is there to have my vote for me. They are allowed to vote independent. They're not bound to anything that I say, and then the committee just approves it. Everybody got approved and appointed. Move on to the next item, which was the election. Let's talk a little bit about the structure of the party and the structure of the committee. Within the central committee, we've got a number of officers. There's a chair, vice chair, the recording secretary, corresponding secretary, the treasurer. There's also a number of assembly district vice chairs, one for each district. Like there's one for 8018, one for 8025, etc. The chair of the central committee essentially gets to pick the agenda. They make the rules more or less, and they get to appoint their own treasurer. So the chair is a very powerful position. You get to set the agenda. You get to decide what people talk about at the meeting. Of course, you have to try and give some air of impartiality and some air of neutrality. There's also the vice chair, which is kind of like the backup chair. I'm not too familiar with what the vice chair roles does, other than they fill in for the chair when the chair is not there. It's not nearly as powerful as being chair. And then there's the other officers, the recording secretary, and they write down, they record who's present, motions made. They're the person during the meeting taking the notes, taking the minutes, and writing it out. And then at the end of this meeting, takes the minutes and the results and all that and sends it to the corresponding secretary, who then corresponds with the membership and the public about what happened at the meeting. The recording secretary, basically does the website, they do the Twitter, they do all the external communications, they set up all the PR, the marketing, all that stuff. They're effectively responsible for all the internal and external communications of the committee. The corresponding secretary is arguably the second most powerful position, so I decided to run for it. And I really just wanted to tweet that I am gay from the Twitter account. That would just be fun to do. I thought that was really important. I do a lot of tweeting. I'm a prolific tweeter. I am a community organizer. I know how to move people into action. And I really wanted the Democratic Party to do a lot more than just endorsements every 2 years. We wanted to be able to communicate our endorsements. We wanted to turn people out for legislation, get people organized, the things that I do. If you look at the Alameda County Central Committee Twitter, it hasn't tweeted since last February. And again, this is February 2020. Right before the pandemic. Only tweet that it was saying was, come to our crab bake fundraiser. I may be forgetting things and getting older. I think there was maybe a couple of important things we could have mentioned between February and the end of last year, like perhaps a giant general election to elect president. We endorsed a number of candidates for local offices. We could have maybe mentioned their names. Alameda County ended up electing a person to the Board of Supervisors who is really not great. He wasn't endorsed by the party. He ran as a Democrat, but he also is kind of homophobic. He's kind of gross. He used to be the mayor of Dublin. My day job is that I sue suburbs who violate state housing law, and I sued his city because of comments that he said on the public record. This guy is not great. And yet the party did nothing to help keep the actual endorsed candidate, Vinnie Bacon, make sure that he got elected. Because we need somebody who's not, a homophobic bigot. Didn't work out. The Twitter never even mentioned his name. We never sent out any newsletters about that. It was just very quiet and silent. And if we can't even activate our Democratic members, what's the point of having a political party? If we can't get people elected, what is the frickin' point? I ended up not winning that. I got about 10 votes out of the 47 total people voting. Here's the roster of members. So this is all the people that I had to go through and call and try and get their vote. You can see here in the 18th Assembly District, here's the top 11 who ended up winning. There I am, towards the middle. This 20th, 25th. And I mentioned earlier the ex officio members. And those are people who are a member of the committee simply because they got elected to public office. For example, Betty Yee, who is the state controller. She's a constitutional officer in the Constitution of California. And because the way the party is designed, because she's the controller and a Democrat, she gets a seat on this. We also have our federal representatives. We've got Senator Barbara Lee. We've got Representatives Eric Swalwell and Ro Khanna. There's also the state senate up in Sacramento. There's Steve Glazier. There's Nancy Skinner, who is my senator right now. Bob Wachowski, who represents out in East Alameda County. The assembly, there's Buffy Wicks. There's Rebecca Bauer-Kahn, Rob Bonta, 8018, that's my district. Bill Quirk, who's also way out in East County. And there's Alex Lee, who's very much in the southeast part of the county. He is also the youngest legislature elected to the state legislature. He's really great. I like him a whole bunch. He ended up voting for me for this, even though we didn't get it. And then there's these last two on the list, the CDP regional director. CDP is the California Democratic Party. Because we love bureaucracy, there's not just central committees based off of each county, but each central committee and assembly district is also tied together into these regions within the Democratic Party. Regions don't exist in the state. They're not a subdivision. There's not a regional city council or whatever. It's just the way the Democratic Party is structured. We've got two regions that cover us. There's Region 2 and Region 5. Rocky Fernandez is Region 5, and Lynette Henley. Again, the structure of the party is inscrutable. I don't even have a map of what these things look like. After we did all of that, selection of state central committee representatives, it's been tradition that every member plus their alternate just gets automatically, by default, appointed to the state central committee. I think, if I'm right, now I'm part of the state Democratic Party leadership. There's, that's a big one. There's something like 300 on the state central committee. It's big, and now I'm part of it, and I got to find 299 other votes to support whatever it is I'm trying to do. Once we got through that, there was new business. That's where we do more routine work of the party. For a lot of that, that's things like resolutions. We ask the party to take a position on one thing or the other. At this meeting, there was a number of other resolutions that we just kind of passed through on the consent calendar about eviction moratoriums and housing issues, which normally I would get really into, but they were non-controversial. What was controversial, though, was this last resolution. It was a resolution suggesting that the governor appoint Assembly Member Rob Bonta as the California Attorney General. Our previous Attorney General, Xavier Becerra, got appointed to run the Department of Health and Human Services. This is the resolution that was put forward. There was also a small amendment to it suggested by Pamela Price, one of my fellow committee members. I didn't think it was too controversial of an amendment. I don't have the text of the amendment in front of me right now. I couldn't find it. It wanted to add another black female lawyer to the list. So it'd be Rob Bonta plus this other person whose name I also forget, who seems like they have a good track record. And we're not really saying that we don't want Rob Bonta. We're just saying maybe we can share this. This is when the party lines in the committee really showed up. Sure, we're all Democrats, but there's a lot of different kinds of Democrats. I've been organizing a bunch with the people-powered progressives. We were putting forward this amendment to the resolution to add this other person to it. It was very simple and trivial. I didn't quite understand the controversy. But the opposition, the other half of the committee, just kind of like revolted against the idea. It dragged this whole fight out for an extra hour at least, and it was really nasty, and I didn't like it, and it was so stupid. So by the end of it, I'm getting very exhausted and tired, and a lot of people are. It's like almost 1 a.m. I made a motion to adjourn because we were all very tired. So I said, I move that we adjourn. And it was very quickly seconded by other people who were also tired and exhausted. There was a bunch of back and forth, and people were arguing about whether we have to debate the motion to adjourn or in what we can debate about it. With Robert's Rules of Order, a motion to adjourn, you simply debate whether or not you're going to adjourn. You don't debate what time, you don't debate other things. It's a privileged motion, which means it takes priority above other things, including the main motion, which the main motion was to vote on the resolution. So we had to stop debate on the resolution, thank Christ, and we voted to adjourn. And then we were done. And then that was my first Alameda County Democratic Central Committee meeting. It was exhausting. The next meeting is going to be February 3rd, every first Wednesday of the month. Hopefully, I'll be able to stream the actual meeting then instead of having to do it after the fact. And I'll have like a show beforehand, a little stream to talk about it, and we'll talk just like this. I'm planning on introducing a resolution myself in response to the coup attempt in DC. One concern that I have about the whole thing is that I'm worried the Democratic Party might respond over aggressively to it and we'll have some kind of new form of a Patriot Act almost. This like sort of immediate, unwarranted, instantaneous response that just kind of curtails further civil liberties and it's just not good. When really what we need to be doing is just enforcing the books that are already in the laws. It's already illegal to storm the Capitol. It's already illegal to stage a coup. We don't need more laws. We need to apply the laws to the Nazis and to the white supremacists that we already have. Hopefully, we'll be able to get it in. I'm still figuring out the process for doing it. I have to talk with our vice chair earlier this week and talked about the process for it and have an idea. So I'm going to draft it up this week and submit it. And then separate from that is there might be some really interesting new state laws coming through the pipeline. And I want the party to endorse them. They're about social housing and building public housing in California. I think they're really good and important, and I think everybody would like them. So depending on if we have a bill number soon in the next couple days, it'll either be a resolution in support of the idea or it'll go to the legislation committee, and then we'll just vote on the bill itself, which is really easy and straightforward. I don't have to write this beautiful document on the side. Next meeting, February 3rd, 7 p.m. I hope to see you again. I hope you'll be here and watch this. If you liked what you saw here today on my channel, I'm hoping to do more of these. I'm still kind of new and getting used to things. Thanks for watching. And I'm sure if you like this, make sure you like and subscribe and leave a little note in the comment. What would you like to see? What do you want to improve? What you hated. And don't be afraid to hit me up on Twitter. I'm Acronistic Loader. You can find me around. Just Google for Victoria Fierce. I'm sure you'll find me. So thanks for watching, and I hope to see you soon, probably next month, if not sooner. So thanks for watching.